All right, hello and welcome to the Post to Post podcast, episode 95. I am Jason, that is Neil.
Hello.
This is the first podcast of the new year, 2020.
Oh yeah, I forgot we changed years.
Yep. Neil has decided that I have to open this up from now on.
That's right, you're the host.
So I was content with just making notes, but now apparently I have to open as well. So there's a couple of little things I'll say before we get into this podcast. So last week we decided we were going to start making some new motion graphics for the YouTube things.
Oh yeah, it's technically called lower thirds.
Yeah, lower thirds.
We had some discussions on which direction we wanted to go and whether we wanted to include social media and how we wanted to look and the colors and everything.
So neither one of us know how to make lower thirds.
Yeah, especially me.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to try to figure this out. So brand new program, never used before, hours and hours and hours and hours. Okay, I kind of understand a little bit. So yesterday around 2:30 or 3, I think you came over.
Yeah, I think it was around there.
And we started watching the junior game, I think, right?
Yes, it was
and
the Canada versus...
while the junior game was going on up in my office, we were on the computer as well, and we were trying to imagine how we would make them look.
Yeah.
So I think so let's say we started that at 3. So I think at 7:10 this morning I stopped.
That's ridiculous. Because I went home at like 9.
I got up to use the bathroom. I got up to eat. But it's just like the old bot days. It's just I was committed and I just couldn't stop.
But I don't understand that because by the time that I left around 9:30, we were pretty much done.
Yeah, but
we just had to do the colors, I think.
Yeah, I was tweaking things a little bit, and then I decided to work on the other lower thirds that you scribbled down on the piece of paper, how it pops down. So I was like, I wonder if I could do that. And then I started working on that. So I was watching a lot of Netflix and doing that, and at 7 o'clock in the morning, I was like, oh my God, I got to go to bed.
No, the sun was probably up by that point.
It was not quite out yet, but the neighbors were like getting in their cars and stuff, and I was like, okay, this is time to be enough of that. So I don't know if they're ready yet. I'm still not completely happy with them, so I'm going to tweak away with it. So I don't know how this is going to look because apparently I'm editing this podcast for the first time, so it's not going to be how I want it yet. But we're running late on time because this is already like, I don't even know what time it is. It's 6 o'clock our time when we're filming this. So we wanted to do this podcast after the World Junior game because obviously that's something big we can talk about.
I think it's probably going to take the majority of the conversation in this specific podcast.
So this one is probably going to be a little shorter than normal just because I have literally spent so much time this week trying to learn that program and I was zoned. So
at least you have to edit the better probably.
For anyone that's like on our Discord, they know like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours on the bot. And like when I get going on the bot, like it's like weeks at a time where that's literally all I do. I go to work, come home, code, and I got burned out on that. And I haven't touched it since like we met in PEI.
June.
Yeah, whenever that trip in PEI was.
June last year.
I haven't touched it since I've been back. And then this is starting to, I was like, okay, I need to kind of chill out a little bit. So in terms of the new year, we want to have our set finished. Like we have a couple jerseys back here, but we still want to hang our shelves. We still want to do that. I want to get proper graphics and stuff for YouTube. And
it's a process. It'll take time.
It's unfortunate that the audio version, there's nothing really we can do for the audio versions to try to improve that. Like
that was the first thing we did was buy the mics to try and improve that situation.
Which is the most important thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
So
audio over video. I've always felt that way.
Maybe there'll be something for the audio guys coming up.
An episode 100.
Little nugget. So anyway, let's start this off with the World Juniors. So we didn't watch them together. We watched yesterday's games together. We didn't watch today's games together.
Yeah. Let's talk about yesterday's game first, I guess. I mean, both surprised. I think you predicted 4-1 Finland. I predicted 4-2 Finland.
Yep.
I am still shocked that Canada won that game because Finland, if you look at the previous 6 years, they've won 3 of the...
They didn't show up.
There was nothing. It was unbelievable. I could not believe it. It was mind-blowing. And Canada really showed up. So you have 2 completely ends of the spectrum for that games. And it showed.
We have a friend in Finland. His name is Mika. He's been on the channel. He stopped watching after the first period.
Yeah.
And he's a huge hockey fan.
Yeah.
He's very proud of his country. Like, he loves the Finnish team. And he couldn't hack it.
If it was reverse situation, would you have stopped watching?
100%.
Yeah, I probably would have too.
Like, this is over. Why am I going to torture myself?
Yep, it's crazy. So yeah, I mean, we were pretty pumped after that game. Moving into today, the Sweden-Finland game. I mean, those countries have had a rivalry forever, and I believe it's the first time they've met, maybe ever or in a long time, in a bronze medal game. It was pretty good. It was a close game, but weird goals, especially that.
The final goal was brutal.
It's a shame when it kind of ends like that. Just like kind of a fluky goal or whatever. But
I know there were there were people that we were talking to that are in Finland. They weren't happy with how the coach managed that game.
Yes.
Didn't adjust.
Yes.
Said that just outcoached, wasn't coaching to win, or I don't know. They just weren't happy. But I mean, that's understandable. I mean, you won the whole thing last year, and you don't even get a medal this year.
It's all about expectations for sure.
If we jump back a couple games before that, what do you think about the Americans losing 1-0 and being not even having a sniff at this thing when every analyst was predicting that the United States was going to win the whole thing?
Yeah, they really looked like that's a strong team.
The Americans had a great team.
So, but I mean, was it last year or the year before that Canada was projected to be in the gold medal game, and I think ended up like 7th or something, 6th or 7th total or whatever.
I don't remember. Yeah, but
I mean, it happens. It's unfortunate. You can't predict these things, and there's lots of things in the gold medal game that just happened that were unpredictable as well. I mean, we'll get into it, I guess, but yeah, it's wild.
Like if I was making predictions on Finland, I'd be 0 for 2 because I thought for sure they beat Canada, and I thought for sure they would have won the Sweden game.
Yeah,
and they were up 2-1 at the end of the first period.
Yeah,
so it wasn't looking horrible, and then but man, that 3-2 goal, I even messaged you. So it was
he did.
It was Linus Oberg. He's in the back corner, like behind the net. Well, not behind the net, but in the, I guess it'd be the trapezoid area if they had that.
Yeah, the corner.
So he's in the back corner, and I think if he would have slid his skate back another like 10 centimeters, it would have touched the boards. That's how deep into the corner he was. And all he did was just throw it out front and went in, and that ends up being the game-winning goal. That ends up being the goal that eliminates Finland. That's brutal.
Which is unbelievable because technically you're not really supposed to just randomly throw the puck out in front of the net unless if you see someone there or whatever. He just did it because maybe out of desperation, but it's unbelievable. But that was the goal that won the game.
So this time last year, huge 2-day party in Finland.
Yeah.
1 year not even making a medal. It's crazy.
But we know how they feel because as Canadians, we've been through this. So,
but it's nice because it shows you that the tournament is competitive up until a certain amount of teams. Like obviously, those lower ranked teams are just going to be a revolving door of teams keep switching.
Yeah, we're not going to see Kazakhstan in a medal game probably, and I believe they've been relegated next year.
Yeah, I think Germany's up next year, and I can't remember who else they said was up.
Austria
maybe
moves up,
and it's in Canada next year. It's in Edmonton and Red Deer. Yeah. So then that brings us to the gold medal game, which is the game we watched today. All I'll say about the first period is holy penalties, Batman.
There's so many things that happened in the game. I honestly don't know where to begin, but I think just a blanket statement. Too many penalties on both sides and too many ridiculous penalties. I don't blame Russia. I don't blame Canada. I don't even know if I blame the refs. I blame the rules.
I think this shows the difference in style between the NHL and the international hockey because the rules are kind of the same, but it seems like the gray area in the NHL is more prevalent where we're not going to call that, we're not going to call that, we're not going to call that. And every now and then, we get the, why'd you call that when this happened? You didn't get it. But it seems like in this game, every little thing you do wrong, you're getting nailed
and even
on.
Things you don't necessarily do wrong. It's like when he lifted the stick.
Yeah.
And it hold your stick tighter.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't be a penalty. And then the same thing happened to the Russians did it to Canada in the third period.
Yeah.
That should not have been a penalty, in my opinion.
It's the same in the second period. Canada's captain, Hayton, he got a penalty for holding when the guy was wrapped around his midsection.
Yeah.
It's like if you're holding a guy with your stomach, by definition, that means he has to have his arm around you.
Exactly.
So, I mean, if you're going to give him a penalty, throw them both in.
Exactly. I mean, that was not a penalty, in my opinion. There was a trip by Canada in the Russian end. Canada should have gotten a penalty. I can't remember if this was late in the second or early in the third. Couldn't believe it wasn't a penalty. And then about 17 seconds after that, a Russian player held a Canadian player in the Canadian end, and I couldn't believe that wasn't a penalty.
Yeah.
It's like, for the most part, they were consistent based on the rules, but there were some times and it's like, well, why wasn't that a penalty? Like, and how is this a penalty? How is this not a penalty? It's very frustrating. I wish that these two teams or these two countries could play again without as strict rules. Like too many special teams, too many power plays, too many penalty kills. Like just let them play 5-on-5 for 60 minutes.
Yeah,
like the penalties that they were taking weren't that egregious. Just let them play.
And it's bad for Canada because like their best player, that Lafreniere guy, he doesn't penalty kill.
He's not on the ice during the penalty.
So I mean, for almost the whole first period, you had four penalties in 17 minutes of the first period. So that's time that guy's not playing. He's just sitting there waiting.
Yeah, I can't remember the percentage that TSN said. I think they said like 28 or 29% Canada was on the penalty kill, like of the game.
Really?
They spent 28% of it on the.
And going into this game, Russia had 7 power play goals in their last 3 games going into it. So I mean, that should have been in the notes before the game. Like, hey, these guys are kind of dangerous on the power play. Hey, let's go out and get 4 penalties in the first period.
Exactly.
And just hang on.
Up until, I will say this about Russia, up until the last half of the third period, they defended so well. They stopped basically every attempt that Canada had coming into the zone. They kept them to the outside. They blocked a lot of passes and a lot of shots. I just thought Russia did a tremendous job in the majority of this game defending. And that's not really something that we typically say about Russia because they're more of an offensive team, and they played good offensively too. Like, man, they've got some talented guys in their team. And I honestly thought for the majority of the game, Russia was the better team. And I'm a bit shocked that Canada won. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's some bad luck. I know you have a lot of notes here.
We'll get into the end of the game, yeah.
I'm not sure which direction or how you want to go talking about everything on here.
We may as well just, there's a lot here. I just kind of have the game notes as it was going on, something wrote down. So the first goal, Russia took a 1-0 lead midway through the second. It was tipped in. He kind of had his stick waist high, and he tipped it down, and it went in the net. And I was like, okay, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, thought it was a good goal.
This play was under review for like 6 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't that
and
close.
Even you had Ray Ferraro on TSN saying, like, no offense, but this is a good goal. Like, why are you taking this long to look at this?
Yeah, he said with all due respect or something like that.
Yeah, like it was clear.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why they had to have so many different angles and looks and... Anyway, so
I guess it's a gold medal game. They want to get it right, I guess, but still, I mean, but I thought it was pretty obvious that. I
think after 2 or 3 angles, it's like you'd have to have, like, he wasn't up here; he was just holding at his waist.
Yeah,
like it was totally a good goal, and
it was a really nice tip.
I didn't like that that took so long. So a minute after they score, Russia takes 2 penalties, puts Canada on a 5-on-3 power play.
The same guy, I think, got both
shooting
penalties.
Yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
So Canada scores, ties the game up. Later in the game, it's 3-1. So after Russia scores their third goal, Canada closes the gap 3-2. And this was a weird goal because it was on Connor McMichael. So the puck comes in, and at first it looks like it goes off his skate and goes in the net. And in IHF rules, you can't even redirect with your skate.
Not even
like
you can't
in the NHL, you're not allowed to like kick a puck in. But you are allowed to turn your skate so that it angles it in.
Oh,
in
okay,
IHF, you're not allowed to do that.
Right.
So that play went to review to see whether he did that or not. And the first look I got out of it looked like it kind of did. But then there was that angle where they kind of followed the puck shooter, and it went off both of his skates then in. And I'm just like, there is no way this goal gets called back.
Exactly.
Like, you are the man if you can just like aim both of your skates on the fly and put it in. And it was a good goal.
Yeah.
Like, up until that point, I wasn't sure if it was going to get called back or not. And then as soon as I seen that angle, I said, no, that's a good goal.
Yeah.
So then the captain, Barrett Hayton, ties the game up at 3.
Yep.
And then later in the game, Akil Thomas, who gets his first goal of the whole tournament.
That's amazing.
Scores the goal, 4-3, ends up being the game-winning goal for Canada. Huge moment. This is only his second point in the game. He's barely played.
Which is great because he had some really, really good shot blocks earlier in the game and in this tournament in general. So it's cool to see him contribute offensively, not just defensively.
And this is the part of the game that we're going to get into a little bit of controversy.
Yeah,
controversy.
There's 2 main things I want to talk about.
Okay, so number 1, Canada's down 4-3. Russians are putting the pressure on. And do I have his name down here? I don't. So
you said Canada was down 4-3.
Oh, sorry. Russia was down 4-3.
I know what you meant.
So the Canadian defenseman shoots the puck over the boards. Right. Unfortunately, it hits TSN's camera at center ice.
Right.
That is technically behind the glass.
On purpose.
But it's still right there at the line, right? So they're not allowed to review that play. But whether the camera was there or not, it was going over the boards.
Clearly.
Should have been a penalty.
Yes.
So then the TSN guys on the broadcast say that they can't review that play. They just have to go with it and determine. They have to make a judgment call whether that puck is in play or not, or the camera.
Which I don't understand because the linesman, there's video of the linesman calling that a penalty. He goes like this, 2 minutes.
So
delay
clearly
games.
the stripes, the main refs overruled the linesman.
The call on the ice was a penalty, and then it was overruled by the referees.
Yeah.
Which is
So huge turning point.
Very
Like
unfortunate
this
for
would have been massive
Yeah.
for Russia.
That might change the position of cameras in future tournaments, which is a ridiculous thing.
It shouldn't
But
though, because
It
the ref should know if it hits something outside of the glass, that's not in play anymore.
Exactly.
The puck is over the glass. Like if the camera is behind the glass and it hits the camera, obviously it went over the glass.
Logic dictates that it was outside.
So I don't know if the puck hit the camera and then went back onto the ice, and that's why they reviewed it not.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. I didn't see where the puck went.
No, I didn't either. And that's the only logical thing I can think of for why they may have thought, well, the puck's back in the thing or back in the ice. So I don't know. It was like I messaged you right away. I said that's a penalty. Like I'm sorry. Like I'm
it would have been 6-on-3 at that point.
Yeah, like obviously we're Canadians.
Yeah.
We want Canada to win, but that should have been a penalty.
That should have been a penalty.
So then,
and that's a huge miss. Like 6-on-3. Can you imagine Russia with 6-on-3 trying to score? All they need is one goal.
That's right. And obviously the Russian coach was pissed.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I don't know if it was Ray or Gord said on the broadcast, they said if your coach starts losing it and you have a bunch of teenagers in front of you, they're going to lose it too.
Yes,
Which makes sense. It's a very passionate game, right?
Yeah.
So the Russian coach obviously not happy with that call. Maybe the player's not happy with that call either, getting a little mad. That leads to a couple really stupid penalties, which basically give Canada the guaranteed win.
Like super stupid penalties. Like the
knocking a stick out of a guy's hand when he doesn't even have the puck. He's just standing there, sends his stick flying, and then another guy getting an unsportsmanlike, I believe, right, for getting mad and slamming a stick on the ice.
Well, no, that actually wasn't it. He broke his stick, and when you break your stick, you're supposed to drop it. And he carried half of it back to the bench, and then he threw it against the ice. So it was so stupid. He was the captain too. Like, not a good penalty to take care of. Lead by example.
So
not smart.
Basically, Canada ends the game with a 5-on-3 power play.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was over as soon as that second penalty happened.
Pretty much.
The turning point. I'm kind of conflicted with this. The puck over the boards camera thing.
Yeah.
Russians are going to be pissed about that call.
As they should be.
Yeah.
As they should be.
Like, that opens up a huge game of what if.
Yeah. But with everything said, maybe Russia should have tied it 4-4. You had a 3-1 lead in the third period, and you blew a 2-goal lead.
When the game was 3-1, I actually thought Canada wasn't coming back.
Yes.
Because Russia was playing very good.
I wasn't cheering against Canada, but I was like, Russia's playing better. Like, I'm not going to be upset if Canada loses. They don't deserve to win. Russia's playing really well. And then I seen their goalie take a ridiculous flop.
Okay.
And I'm like,
I messaged you with
nope, Canada's got to win now.
The goalie, I messaged you about this. The goalie really irked me. Okay, so
it's bad.
There was a play where he tried to draw an interference. Was the interference call first, or was that there was two? I can't remember what happened first. One was an interference play where his own player bumped him, and he fell to the ice and like threw his helmet off and was like, "Oh, I got interfered with," but it was only other Russian players around him,
and it barely even hit. Like, his own player barely hit him.
And there was, I can't remember what the other play was too, and he did something, and I messaged you on the second one. I said, "Okay, this guy's a scrub. Like, come on, you can't be doing this." Like,
yeah, it's crazy. I'm surprised he didn't get an embellishment penalty.
Yeah,
because I take that pretty seriously in the IIHF as well. But yeah, there was that. And what else did I want to talk about? There's one more thing. Oh. At the end of the game, the amount of respect that the Russian players had towards the Canadian players, I thought was fantastic. After they got their medals, they went over, and it wasn't just like loser handshakes. It was a lot of like camaraderie and like really appreciative.
A lot of these players are all going to be in the league in the future together.
And I noticed that when Canada's captain, his name
Barrett Hayton,
and the Russian player, when they got the first initial picture taken of whatever, Hayton went over and it's like not congratulations, I was like congratulations, but like good game, whatever. He went right over and talked to him before he skated back. I thought that was really good because this is the player who didn't take his helmet off during the Russian anthem during Canada's loss to Russia early in the tournament. So I think a lot of people have forgiven him, and that's kind of what we said in the podcast. Like, he did something really stupid and disrespectful by not taking off his helmet, but he's a kid. Let's forgive him. Let's move on. And that's what I did. I hope that's what most people did. Same with Lias Andersson. He was stupid. He threw his medal in
Yeah.
in the stands. Forgave him. Move on. So he redeemed himself today. He came back. He was injured, and
everyone said they were surprised to see him in the game.
yeah,
Like he had a sling on.
Yeah, did you see him in the warm-ups?
No.
He was barely taking any shots, and the shots he was taking, he wasn't raising his arm very high.
He wasn't doing face-offs. He was trying. You could tell he was like avoiding contact and stuff. But he was noticeable out there. He had a good game.
He did have.
He tied the game 3-3.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was kind of hating on him a little bit when he didn't take his helmet off, but
well, forgive him.
I'm okay with him now. Yeah, he's just a kid.
All right. Well,
so that's the juniors for this year, I guess. So
Canada won, which is awesome.
Yep,
very
awesome
happy
for
as
us.
a Canadian, but I don't like the way that they won. It's frustrating.
I don't like games that don't end fairly, and that missed call or blown call, like just based on how the rest of this game went, Russia could have easily scored.
Oh, absolutely. If I'm gonna, as a Canadian, and if my country is gonna beat a hockey power like Russia, some of the best players in the entire world, I want to do it on a fair level.
Yeah, I don't want some crappy call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, win's a win, I guess.
Yeah. All right, so we can end with the World Juniors. I think that's good with that. I want to get into John Tortorella because John Tortorella was probably the biggest news of the week.
He threw a fit, and it was pro.
He threw a fit, it was pro, and it was right.
It was major right.
Now, minus the amount of GDs he used in his phrasing, could have toned that down a little bit. But other than that, and he was like slamming the desk, like
he was.
Blah, blah, and 100% he was right.
How do you find someone for being right?
I wish we could play the clip.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you need to look it up. It's super easy to find. Just Google Tortorella's rant. So let's get into what he was mad about.
He did get fined, right?
He did get fined $20,000.
That's ridiculous.
People started a GoFundMe, and it's actually raised over $10,000 for him so far. They're going to donate it to his charity.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But so there's actually a lot of ref incidents lately, and we'll get into that in a second. But so let's just recap why John Tortorella was pissed.
Yeah.
So Columbus was playing Chicago. Their game went to overtime, and with 19.2 seconds left in overtime, the whistle gets blown down, but the clock keeps running. And it actually goes down to like 18.7 or 8, stops for like a couple frames, and then keeps ticking down again, and then stops at 18.1.
Yeah.
So 1.1 seconds off the clock. Tortorella asks to have the time put back on. They don't. NHL room in Toronto doesn't put it back on. So whatever. Anyway, Werenski actually scores with 0.2 seconds over the time limit.
Yeah.
So the clock goes down to 0, and then 0.2 seconds later, it crosses the line. So if those 1.1 seconds would have been there, they would have won the game.
Correct.
So understandably, a reason to get mad, but there's more. So they go into a shootout, and Jonathan Toews is going to take his shot, and their goalie goes down and gets hurt. Korpisalo. Yeah. So they end up losing the shootout. So they end up technically winning the game if the time would have been right.
Right.
They end up losing the game and losing their goalie.
Yeah, losing their starting goaltender.
All because they wouldn't put 1.1 seconds back on the clock.
Amazing.
Because they want to get the game over with. So Tortorella goes up and he basically calls everyone out. Like I could have wrote down his quote, but it's so long. He basically says, we live in with all this technology we're bringing in to make sure things are right.
Yeah.
He said it's a joke. He kept saying GD this, GD that. He said it's a disgrace. And then he's just like, I'm not answering any GD questions, and walks off. Yeah. And it was awesome.
It was pro.
There was nobody online that was saying he was out of line.
Yeah.
He was saying what needed to be said.
And then he gets fined.
So, and then he gets fined $20,000. So I want to talk about the ref in that game. It was Dan O'Halloran.
Yes.
So Dan O'Halloran was the guy who refed the Vegas playoff game. When Pavelski got hurt.
Right.
Dan O'Halloran is the reason that Vegas did not go on.
That's correct.
Dan O'Halloran was also reffing a Winnipeg game. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. That was horribly officiated.
Yes, it was.
So Paul Maurice, after the game, they asked him if he had any comments about the game. And he just said, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to get fined. He said, I'm not giving them any of my money.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is basically, the reffing was horrible, but I'm not going to say anything. So that was like, I don't know what the word for it is, but it was like, it's like, I'm going to throw in a jab, even though it's technically not a jab, so I can't get fined. But it was very clear that he was not happy, and rightfully so.
Incredibly smart way to have that interview and say exactly what you wanted to say.
So
without saying it.
Do you think more coaches should go out? Like, obviously, Tortorella's players are going to like him coming out and saying that. But do you think more coaches should come out and complain against the refs so that, this is a weird way to look at it, but there's enough complaints against maybe a certain ref that the NHL actually has to address it? Like, the refs have a union. Like, I understand that. So they are kind of protected.
But we don't get to hear anything.
It's so silent. You hear nothing out of the refs.
Nothing.
So if you have this guy who is supposedly one of your marquee refs.
That's a pretty popular name in the world of refereeing.
Yeah, and like when he goofed up against Vegas, he wasn't allowed to move on. Like, that was the end of his playoffs. So, I mean, there has to be a point when you sit a guy down and say, listen, the performance is not there.
Yeah.
And I mean, every game the refs have like a reffing boss who's in charge of like rating them and saying how they did and everything. Like, shouldn't there be a point where you have to address refs that aren't reffing very well?
Absolutely. It's the same as any other job. If I wasn't performing right, I'd probably get sat down and spoken to as well.
But instead of addressing the issue, I mean, maybe they are. We don't, like I said, it's so silent you never hear anything. But instead of addressing the issue, they're just kind of making the coaches say, you know, you can't say anything or else we're going to fine you.
Yeah, which is, if they say something that's wrong and they're just out of line, sure, fine them, whatever.
Like, I can see Tortorella getting fined for the language he used. Because,
Sure.
I mean, you go into a public thing, you have live cameras sending that broadcast out, and everything's like, every third thing is a GD. And like, at one point, he was going to say that he was going to drop an F-bomb. He's like, these friggin' refs. Like, you knew he was going to drop the F-bomb, but like last second he realized where he was. So I could see them fining him for that, because, I mean, you can't do that on a live feed that's going out
right
worldwide, even though they have a 10-second
$20,000 is pretty.
$20,000 is a lot.
That's a heavy
And
fine.
clearly he's not the only coach thinking this way with the reffing.
I don't understand what's the big deal if they call it out and if he says something that's right, how can the NHL reprimand him for that? Like,
And Bill Daly came up with a statement about why the time wasn't added. And I can't remember what it was quote for quote, but it was the most ridiculous reason ever. Like, it was totally a protection of the refs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so if Columbus misses the playoffs by 1 point,
so
the backlash,
which
won't do anything.
My question to you is, why are the refs so protected? Like, if anyone can say anything about anyone, like, you can judge a player's performance, you can judge a coach's performance, you can judge management's performance. Why is it not okay to talk about the performance of refs publicly?
I'm not sure.
Like, it's not a big deal if a ref has a bad game. Like, in baseball, they do it. Like, an umpire that blows a bad call. Like, there's been calls where people have had perfect games, and an umpire has screwed it up for him. He'll come out after the game. He'll be crying into the microphone and say, "That was on me. I made the wrong call." You don't hear a peep from NHL
When's
refs.
the last time you saw a referee get interviewed?
Never.
Ever.
Like, the last one I seen was like from the 80s, and it was like an old school clip where people were trying to barge into the ref room to like beat them up because of how unhappy they were with the calls. Like, you just don't see it.
I think it's just because they want refereeing and linesmen to be invisible. Just like, you shouldn't have to think about them being on the ice. You shouldn't have to think about them in general. So
but when there's enough issues being caused by them,
you just put them under the rug.
That's what's happening.
That's the NHL's motto for refereeing.
I don't like it.
It's ridiculous. But I don't know. What if a referee or linesman was interviewed and said something as offensive or as hot-headed as Tortorella? Would he get fined?
I don't know, but I don't think they would, because
we don't know, because one hasn't been interviewed in 25 years. So.
Yeah.
But
like, the best we get is like the former refs on TV who fill in as a segment.
Yeah, like Kerry Fraser.
Yeah, like, that's the best you get is, well, in my situation, this is how we did this and this is how that. Other than that, it's just there's a room and they have discussions, and other than that, we don't hear about it.
And why? It seems like in the board of directors, when they meet, refereeing is never a discussion. It's always about rules. Like, can the board of directors and the owners and GMs and whatever, do they have any power to pressure the NHL into reprimanding a specific referee or demanding new, I don't know, not new rules, but new accountability?
I think overall they're happy with the reffing. It's just when there's isolated incidents that occur multiple times over a few years on the same ref, I think
nothing's being done about it.
Clearly not.
So, okay.
Like,
I don't know.
That's what's being done, a slap on the hand.
And that maybe not even that.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
So let's move on to the Winter Classic.
Yeah.
/ Corey Perry suspension / Walk of Shame.
The Walk of Shame was...
So let's set up the Winter Classic first, just so people know. So it was in Cotton Bowl Stadium in Dallas, Texas. Second highest attendance at an NHL game, 85,650.
Yeah, I'll say, as far as outdoor games goes, did you watch it, by the way? I thought it was awesome.
It was actually a good game.
It was a really good game. It was, the camera angles were fine. I felt like they didn't overuse that sliding camera too much.
Cam, yeah.
They used it, but not too much.
Yeah.
The audio was good. The lighting was fantastic. It was probably the best outdoor game I've ever watched.
Yeah, it was like, usually the outdoor game is like kind of gimmicky and the ice is terrible and the actual hockey is not that good. I had no issues with this one.
And we've been really critical on outdoor games since I started this channel.
Yeah.
So,
and of all places to have it, it was in Texas.
Yeah.
So you think, like, in terms of ice conditions and stuff, that'd probably be one of the worst places. It ended up being probably one of my favorites that I've seen.
As pro.
So Dallas won 4-2. Next year's will be in Target Field in Minneapolis. So it's a baseball stadium next year.
Yeah, Minnesota versus to be determined.
Someone was saying that the capacity for that baseball field is only 35,000.
35,000.
35,000 something. So that's not counting the field. So I don't know.
That's only 15,000 more than the biggest NHL arena.
So I'm kind of confused why they would go to an 85,000 seating capacity college football stadium, and then the next year they're going to like a 35, 40,000.
Isn't that really half of the point of doing this, is to make bank?
See, that's what I thought. So maybe there's a little bit of favor going towards Minnesota, like, hey, we're gonna hook you guys up. But it seems weird to me when you could basically double your ticket revenue by having it somewhere else.
Yeah,
unless people are just getting tired of the same places having them over and over again.
Maybe, and it's not like Minnesota doesn't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's lots of teams that haven't played in an outdoor game or Winter Classic. I don't think Tampa Bay's ever done it. Florida's never done it. Who else?
Chicago's never done it.
Yeah. Never.
Chicago's done 4 times, I think.
Chicago's never gone more than 2 years without playing in an outdoor game.
Okay, so before we get into this game, let's talk about the Minnesota game. They don't have an opponent right now.
Correct.
Who would you like to see?
Minnesota? If you had to ask me 2 years ago, I would have said Dallas, but that's not happening.
No. What about Winnipeg?
So,
a lot of people are saying Winnipeg.
Yeah, that would be a really good one. They're fairly close geographically, not really, but sort of. A little bit of a rivalry.
So say Winnipeg gets picked to be the team. Would you worry that next year Minnesota and Winnipeg could both be kind of crummy teams, and you've got a Winter Classic between 2 teams that are almost irrelevant? Because that's what some people are worried about right now. Some people are saying that they think Winnipeg will probably be okay, but a lot of people aren't really sold on Minnesota right now.
Here's the thing about Minnesota. They're deep, but they're not at the same time. It's a really weird team to look at from the outside. They could be amazing next year.
They're not firing on all cylinders.
They could be a total flop. They're so hard to predict, kind of like Philadelphia is. And I think Winnipeg will be okay, like you said. But really doesn't matter if these teams are contenders or not.
It's a spectacle.
It's a thing for the local fans, and I hope I get to be one of those local fans someday, or not local fans, but one of those fans that get to go and watch one of these games in person. But because I think the experience would be amazing. But yeah, I don't know.
So if you get to go to one, would you want to go to like a warm environment like Texas, or would you rather go where it's like cold and snowy and
cold AF?
Yeah,
colder the better. Like so cold that half the people leave and I get better seats.
I don't think that would happen.
Let me ask you this: would you rather go to an outdoor NHL game or an international NHL game, like a game in Sweden or Finland or something?
That's a good question.
I'd almost want to say international because I've never been there, but I think the overall experience of an outdoor game would be unique, more unique than an international NHL game.
It depends where it was.
Okay, an outdoor
all
game. All
things created equal, I didn't have to pay for the trip.
Yeah, neither trip you have to pay for. Okay, so the outdoor game is in...
Let's say it's in Michigan, 105,000 people.
Okay, so it's Detroit.
And let's say this is like 8 years down the road and Detroit's a powerhouse.
Okay, and they're playing the Rangers.
Okay, and Rangers are good too.
The Rangers are good too.
Okay, so, and then your other option is to go. Let's say you're going to go watch 2 games.
2 games internationally?
Yeah. One's in Switzerland.
Okay.
And one's in Finland.
All right.
It's a weekend trip.
Can I pick the teams?
Yep.
Edmonton, Calgary, and Montreal, Toronto.
Okay, well, that makes that decision super easy. Okay, let me redact that a little bit.
All right.
Let's say Nashville, Anaheim,
All right.
and San Jose and Tampa Bay. Versus
you said
going
Switzerland and Finland.
Yep.
How long am I in Europe?
You're there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, back Monday.
Oh wow, that's a quick Europe
It's
trip.
a very quick trip because all expenses paid, so they're only covering you for the. Oh. It's a day there, a day of hockey, travel, another day of hockey, another day, and you're back.
Is it the same timeline to go to Michigan?
No, Michigan's a 3-day trip.
Shorter.
So you leave Friday, you're back Sunday.
Wow. I'm gonna say the outdoor game.
Really?
Yeah, because if I'm going to Switzerland or if I'm going to Finland, I'm not going to have much time to see any of those countries.
Now, what if you had the option of taking the free airfare there?
Yeah.
But you decide, hey, I'm going to stay on my own time and I'm going to fly back on my own.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
100%.
And then you take that over the outdoor game.
I take a 2-week vacation out there and, and
so
enjoy Switzerland and Finland.
If someone's going to pay one way and I have to pay one way to get back, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's get into the Corey Perry suspension. We got super off topic there, but
no clue.
So 2 minutes and 47 seconds into the game or something like that. Really dumb play.
Yeah.
So Ryan Ellis he's kind of lined up on the blue line. He's taking a shot and Perry's coming at him directly across the blue line. Sticks his elbow. I don't know how many times we've seen this. Elbow just goes out and it's just a drive-by elbowing. Hits him in the face, down he goes.
Ryan Ellis isn't a very tall guy.
No.
So he's already fairly low.
But why do players have to stick their elbow like that?
I don't know. And
it's like a chicken wing. Like, it's not like you're trying to put your shoulder. Like, I could see if you were putting, like, your muscles part of your arm. What's this called?
Your bicep?
Yeah. I could see if you put that into them. But this is like, you're going like that. It's like you're trying to do the old fart sounds under the armpit. Like, you got your elbow sticking straight out at him.
I think a lot of young players, if they made that mistake, I'd be like, welcome to the NHL. You can't do that. Corey Perry has been in the NHL, I believe, since like 2003 or 4. AKA, he's a veteran.
He's a veteran.
He knows way better than to do this.
Yeah.
So and are you really going to pull that stunt in an outdoor game that you've been looking forward to all year?
And like, yeah, the outdoor game's a real game. Like, there's points on the line, right? But you're not going there to raise hell.
Yes, exactly.
It is a spectacle event. Like, yeah, you want to win, but like your families get to skate on the ice, and like, it's a spectacle. Like, that's the only word I got for it. Like, why would you do that 3 minutes into the game?
I really like Corey Perry too, so I was very disappointed that he did that.
And then, so they throw him out, and he has to leave the ice. And he's doing this huge walk of shame. It's like WrestleMania, like, or something. It's like this. Yeah. He's just walking for like 2 minutes in the open, like where the football field is.
Yeah,
that was brutal.
Yeah.
Like, how embarrassing would that be to go into this game and 3 minutes out you're doing a walk of shame in front of the hometown? Like, see ya.
It's like the Royal Rumble when they get knocked out of the ring. Yeah, they just have to leave.
But I mean, the whole play is stopped, and literally everyone in that arena is just staring at you leaving.
It's super awkward.
Yeah.
Did you see the video that someone made on Twitter?
And they put the soundtrack to it. Yeah. Super funny. So Ellis was taken out of the game too.
Yes.
And didn't come back. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's really unfortunate, and that's probably some of the reason that Corey Perry got injured, or Corey Perry got fined technically $40,000 in salary and 5 games. It's kind of crazy that
it's his third suspension.
Like 5 games. Look at some of the stuff that's happened recently in the past 2 years, and you think, okay, that's probably 4 or 5 games, and they get 1 or 2, or that's not a suspension, and they get 3. Like, what?
I don't want to backtrack here a little bit, but you can you can spit on a guy and get suspended. We talked about that, right?
You can.
You can. I can't think of an example, but you can hurt a guy or do a dirty play, not get suspended, but get fined like a couple $1,000.
Yes.
So, let's say I I don't know. Let's say I knee on knee you, and it's not bad enough to suspend me, but
Was it
it's kind of
intentional?
dirty, kind of dirty, and they issue me a fine.
All right.
Is it worse for me to do that, or is it worse for John Tortorella to get suspended $20,000 to tell the refs in the league how they screwed up?
Yeah.
When you got a guy that's actually hurting players and getting fined a tenth of the amount.
I know. It's crazy. Now,
The same with the spitting. This many games for a spit, this many games for checking from behind, and it's way less.
yeah. The fine against Tortorella was that number based on his salary? Is it a percentage of his salary, or is it?
I don't know, but I know if he gets another one this year, it goes up to $25,000.
So his first fine's 20,000, and the next one's
I don't know if
25. That's not much of an
Maybe
increase.
it's like a rolling total of how many fines he's earned since he's
maybe.
been in. I don't know how it works. I honestly don't know. And clearly, this is a guy that doesn't really have a filter, so I can see him having a few on record already. But
It's like a swear jar.
yeah, but I don't know. I didn't mean to get off topic that way, but
No, it's
just
all good.
sometimes it doesn't make sense when fines and suspensions are issued. So we should go back and talk about Jim Montgomery.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
And we had T Park do a clip for us on
Yes.
that podcast, and he said that from where he was, like he lives in Texas, he said he was hearing it was alcohol related.
Yeah.
And it turns out it looks like he was right.
Yeah, news broke. Was it yesterday or the day before?
2 days before, yeah. He said he's receiving professional help for alcohol abuse when he was fired last month for inappropriate conduct. So 2 and 2 together sounds like this is why. He didn't say that. He didn't say why he got fired, but he did say it was the appropriate call. So
Yeah.
obviously he was disappointed he got fired, but he agreed with it and said this was the right call to make.
Which likely isn't said very often by
No.
coaches who get fired.
Yeah.
So good on him for doing that, and good on him for publicly saying some of the things they did here in these quotes and doing what he needs to do to get better. I mean, that takes super courage to do that.
So he said, this is his quote, he said, "The team's decision to end my role forced me to look into the mirror and decide whether I wanted to continue living a damaging lifestyle or get help. I decided to get help." He went on to say, "Today, with the unconditional support of my wife and family and many close friends, I took another step forward by admitting myself into an inpatient residential program," which I found interesting, actually, "where I intend to take the steps to be a better husband, father, friend, coach, and mentor one day at a time." So he's not just like when I first heard the news, I didn't really read it. I just heard it. I thought like he was going to like meetings to get help.
That's what I thought.
Like he's checked in.
He's literally living somewhere.
Yeah, he's checked in. So this is serious. Like he's obviously,
Yeah.
he's not doing it for show. Like he's not living at home right now. He's checked himself into a
Exactly.
facility. So pretty serious.
Very serious. And I mean that's such, I can't imagine having to do that in general, but having to do that, and now there's millions of people knowing that you're doing that's gotta feel real bad. So I can't imagine what he's going through.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him, but I hope he gets the help he deserves.
It's like we said, it kind of sucks that it's right out in the public and everybody knows.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
Okay. We hate on the Leafs a lot.
Sorry, we do. I'm just gonna say this real quick. It's ridiculous that we know this about Jim Montgomery and we can't talk about the refs.
Yes, I was just thinking that, and I was like, I don't want to backtrack again, but you're 100% right.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So we hate on the Leafs a lot.
Yes.
We got to give them some love.
Oh man, they have gone.
And all it took was play your good players more.
Yeah.
Don't play your good players. Don't play your fourth line. Do you have that there? Oh, this is weak. So we have a soundboard. We tried hooking it up. We're having some technical problems. For some reason, we have a clip where I think, who is it again? It's what's his name?
It's this one.
Yeah.
It's Wes McCauley.
So we got Wes McCauley saying the microphone's not working. And then when we plug it into our soundboard, you can't hear him.
Yeah,
all you hear is the crowd.
The mixer for some reason isn't using both lines, or it's only using left and it's not using right or something. I don't know what
Or
the
it's like
problem is.
filtering out something. Like it doesn't make sense. You can't hear him at all. All you hear is the crowd.
Yeah, so I
So we'll look into that.
I have it here. I wanted to use it for this podcast, but we can't get it working. So we'll fix that and get it going. But anyways, back to the thing.
Okay.
Yes, I do have it.
Really good players.
Really good players.
So play your really good players more. So obviously the decision to replace Mike Babcock with Sheldon Keefe has been crazy.
Oh yeah.
Their 15-4-1 in his first 20 games as head coach.
And quite predictably, too. I mean, Tampa and the Maple Leafs were so far down that it was
laughable.
It was laughable. It's like, hey, this isn't actually reality. Like, this is going to change, and it did for both teams. And yeah, I mean, good on the Leafs for going back to where people thought that they should be.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're not really that far behind to Boston.
And that's the problem. Everyone was saying how Boston was gone. You're playing for second and third and wild cards now.
They're
only 6 points behind Boston now.
Yeah.
They're tied with wins. They have the same amount of wins as Boston.
Boston has been as bad in this basically the same run as Toronto
Leafs
has been good.
Yeah. And Lightning's playing well too.
Yes.
They're just behind them. They've got 3 games in hand still.
It is extremely possible that Boston could move to third in the Atlantic.
And Tampa could get first, and we have another Leafs-Boston first-round playoff.
Make it stop.
Although, I think if I was a betting man with this coach, I'd be putting my money on Toronto in the playoffs this time.
I have a feeling Toronto's going to win a playoff series.
Yeah. So, we like I just said, we hate on Toronto a lot.
Yeah.
I got to give love where love's due. They're playing freaking awesome right now. Okay.
Yeah.
You asked about this.
We meant to talk about this, I think, 2 podcasts ago, or maybe 1.
Yes. So there was I think it was 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, Boston was playing Washington. And Dmitry Orlov had the puck. He was going in behind his own net, and Davey Krejci hauled him down. So the ref's arm goes up. And then Dmitry Orlov, as he's going down, he means to pass it to Radko Gudas. But it doesn't go anywhere near Radko Gudas. It goes to Ilya Samsonov's skates and goes in the net.
Yes.
So I'm like, heck yeah, that's a freaking Boston goal. Like, we didn't touch the puck.
It was a delayed penalty. The whistle goes when Boston has possession.
And then the puck goes in the net. And then the ref puts his arms out sideways saying no goal. And I'm like, what the frig is that? That's a goal. Like, we never...
Yeah.
Like, they put it in their own net. Like, just because you get your hand up doesn't mean the goal doesn't count.
Yeah.
So it was under review for a while. Like, minutes and minutes and minutes. And I was just like, okay, what? So anyway, the goal didn't count, and the reason it didn't count was because the ref said he blew the whistle dead. But how do you blow the whistle dead when Boston doesn't ever touch the puck?
I know. It doesn't, like, if that happened, regardless if there's a penalty on the ice or not, that's a goal.
It should be a goal.
Like, and I believe, did Boston lose that game?
No, Boston
they
won.
won.
They smoked that game. I think it was 5-0.
So they won regardless. But
so in the end, it didn't matter. But that got me thinking, like, hey, do you not actually get a goal?
Yeah.
If the ref has his arm up, can you not get a goal if the other person shoots it in their own net? Like,
it's such a I don't think I've ever seen that before in my life.
It's the first time I've ever seen it.
So they're gonna have to bring in a new rule or something or adjust something.
I don't know.
Because that should be a goal.
Officially, they said the reason was because he blew it dead, but
incorrect call.
It was definitely an incorrect call.
Yeah. Sticking on the thing of goalies, I don't see it down here, but I did talk to you about it today. The Mackenzie Blackwood thing from last night.
I did.
When I first saw that, I'm like, this is no goal. Like, that's clearly goaltender interference. And the more that I looked at it in the replay, and I think you agree with me because you kind of already told me.
I said I was down with it.
This is not goaltender interference.
I should have wrote this down because the rule it nails this. The actual text in the rule book explains this situation perfectly.
Yeah.
It just basically says if the goalie leaves his crease and he was behind the net.
Yep.
And as long as that player's not trying to directly contact him,
yeah,
the goal's good.
And he wasn't because it was Matt Calvert, and he tried to jump over.
And the goalie was Blackwood?
Yeah.
He was backing up.
Yeah.
Like, he literally slid sideways, and his skate stuck out so that he got tripped over.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm okay with this call.
So some of the fans online were pissed, obviously. And they said, like, what's our goalie supposed to do? Just sit there? I mean, he can't fight to get back to his crease? And I'm like, well, if he leaves his crease, that's the risk he takes.
I think goalies should be able to be hit if they leave their crease.
100%.
Look at all the gear they've got on.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
So
yeah, I'm okay with that. When I first saw it, I was pissed. I'm like, how is that not goal?
Yeah, see, I just seen the replay, and then right away on the replay, I said, I don't think I have an issue with this. Because I thought you were on the opposite fence. I thought you were like, that shouldn't have counted. And I was like, well, actually, I don't really see anything wrong with this. Like, he did hit him. It just wasn't. You could see he was kind of turned his torso sideways, and he was trying to avoid it, but he was backing into him. So
yeah,
incidental conduct or contact.
Yeah. Also, that happened in the same night. The headbutt goal.
Yes,
that wasn't counted.
And do you remember who the player was? I don't
Smith,
remember.
maybe.
I remember reading after, he's like, I didn't even know that you couldn't do that. So like the puck's, it was a weird shot though. So the shot goes up and I don't know if it hits the crossbar or the goalie, but it goes straight up in the air.
It's in the air
like
forever.
literally straight up. So everyone's like looking at it. And then as it comes down, he just like jumps up and headbutts it in, which was amazing. And they're like, everybody's laughing. And I'm like, why is everybody laughing? And then when they see the replay, they're like, okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
The ref's like, you can't do that. Like just laughing at the kid. Can't do that.
You can't do that.
I'll jump to the trades real quick.
Yeah, jump to the trades.
So not very much, but Buffalo acquires forward Michael Frolik from Calgary for 2024. Montreal traded defenseman Mike Riley to Ottawa for forward Andrew Schultz and a 2021 fifth. Do you have any comments about that since you're a Montreal fan?
Not really. I think it was. I think Bergevin's grasping at straws now. There's so many injuries on the team, and he's just trying to move some things around. And in the next trade, when Scandella comes in, he's got to make some decisions. And Riley was unfortunately on the wrong end of that decision, so he's out. Scandella is in, and I mean, they take on more cap, but they get a little bit more experience.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're giving fourth and fifths, you're not really losing them a whole lot.
No, and Scandella's contract is fairly reasonable, and then Montreal also picks up Kovalchuk, who has not played yet, but league minimum $700,000.
So did you hear the story about Kovalchuk?
No, I actually didn't. I don't know why he signed in Montreal.
Okay, I think it's a no risk move.
It's
so
smart.
Like I wouldn't do it because I don't think he's going to really do a whole lot. But for $700,000, it's no brainer, right?
No brainer for Montreal.
So I believe I didn't write this down, so I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. So I think Kovalchuk's number is 17.
It is.
And someone on Montreal already has 17.
Kulak.
So did you hear about that? He bought him a Rolex in order to give his number up. So he's giving his number up so Kovalchuk can wear 17.
I didn't know he was giving his number up. I just thought he was doing it because he was a nice guy.
No, he bought him a Rolex.
I didn't know a Rolex was involved.
He said, you give me your number, I'll buy you a Rolex. And he goes, yep, I'll do that. So now he's getting a Rolex.
That is amazing. But yeah, good on Kulak for doing that. But I don't know why. Did Kovalchuk say why he signed in Montreal? I think he did. I just didn't read the article. I don't know why he signed in Montreal. Maybe no one else wanted him. Well, I might as well go to Montreal.
Yeah, but Montreal's kind of like Toronto, man. That's a heated market. Like, if you don't perform, you're going to hear about it.
Nah, Montreal's not performing anyway, so they're all hearing about it.
So that's pretty much all I had.
That's pretty much all I have. Yeah, all you have. Yeah, I have something I want to read. Is that okay?
I guess so.
This was a letter that was sent in that I forgot to include in the last mail time. I knew I had it. I just couldn't find it in PEI. And about 5 minutes after I get done filming the mail time, guess what I found? The letter. So I want to read it now because it's important. It's important that we do this. So this was sent in by Christian, and here's what he has to say. I think you're going to like this. Dear Post to Post, you are my favorite YouTubers. I watch you every day. The Boston Bruins are my favorite team, and my favorite NHL players are Nathan McKinnon, Marc-Andre Fleury, and David Pasternak.
Those are three solid choices.
Heck yeah. My top 5 favorite teams are Boston Bruins, Arizona Coyotes, San Jose Sharks, Columbus Blue Jackets, and Winnipeg Jets. My Pee Wee hockey team has a tournament in Lake Placid in late October. As in last year. I've had this letter for a while. I hope you have a good year, and you should have 1 million subscribers, in my opinion. Sincerely, Christian.
Thank you, Christian.
So, Christian, thanks for the kind words. I appreciate that. I'm sorry that it's taken so long to read your letter. We did not receive a lot of mail, basically from the summer to Christmas. We've only received like 3 things. So, I was saving your letter to do it in the next mail time, and then we got those 2 packages from Sweden. And I couldn't find your letter, but I found it, and I wanted to still read it for everyone to hear. So if you guys are interested in sending us a letter, you can send it to the P.O. Box in the description down below on the YouTube channel. I do not have the P.O. Box listed in the podcast description that goes out. But if you have time and you want to send us a letter and tell us your story and who you are and stuff, head on over to the YouTube channel and go down into any recent video's description, and the P.O. Box will be down there. I don't know it off the top of my head, unfortunately.
And the P.O. Box is still in PEI.
It's still in PEI, yeah. I like to do all the mail times with Brent when I visit PEI, which is probably going to be once a month or once every 2 months. So, yeah. So the next mail time should be in a month and a half-ish.
Yeah.
Like that, maybe.
So I went over to your house yesterday?
Yeah,
I was there yesterday, right? Or was it Friday?
Day before? I don't even know. I don't remember. That's Friday.
Yeah, Friday. So in Neil's room that he films his videos,
heck yeah,
he's got a big calendar.
I do have a big
So
calendar.
I was looking at this calendar, and it's like, it's yay big. It's one of those big,
it's
like
a
one of
desk
those
calendar.
huge desk calendars. And then there's like tons of stuff written on it. I was like, man, what is this? So I go over and look at it. It's like all the videos he plans on releasing for every day. And there wasn't a day that was empty. And many of those days had multiple videos. So there's lots to look forward to. People.
Yeah, I think there was like 41 videos for January. What's today? The 5th?
Today is the 5th.
The 5th, yeah. So I have everything planned out. I filmed 9 videos last night.
Wow.
I need to do the jersey giveaway video. So August. What comes after August? September, October, November, December. The August one's going to release tomorrow, and then the following Monday is going to be September, and so on, until I'm caught up. And
We had a little bit of catching up to do.
Yeah, I unboxed 2. I did 2 videos. Each was an unboxing video of some cards, some NHL cards, a 2004 sweater edition, and 2011, 2012 prospects box.
Wow.
Prospects and Heroes box.
That'd be kind of cool, actually.
I don't want to ruin it, but I won't tell you who it is. I got 3 signature cards and 3 jersey cards in that box.
Ooh, that's a haul.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, what else did I do? I'm trying to get GeoGuessr going. I'm trying to release a GeoGuessr thing tomorrow, but I haven't filmed it yet because I can't get it to work because I need to pay for it, and I don't know. So I have it written down for tomorrow, but I might delay it, but we'll see. What else? Some more the Unbox thing, which will release on the second channel today. Actually, by the time you guys hear this, it'll already be released. It's called Universal Yums Box. It's a monthly box about food. So I unbox that and I try all the international food that's inside. And
Right before we did this podcast, he made me try them.
yeah, so I made Jason try it too, and that video will come out later this week, probably on Friday-ish. So yeah, there's lots of stuff written down at least for me to do.
Yep.
And I've got 9 videos filmed. Or actually, I filmed 9 last night. I had one pre-filmed, so I think I have 10 to release. I still have 4 or 5 Canadians Tricep videos to release.
From forever ago.
Forever ago, yeah. I still have a card unboxing video with Kale that we filmed in June that I
Jeez.
haven't released or edited yet. Yeah, so there's going to be lots to come. I'm pretty excited, and I'm in a bit of a groove now, and yeah, like where things are going. So
Right on.
yeah, thanks for helping or doing all of the work with the lower thirds yesterday and everything.
Like I said, not 100% happy with them yet because you want them to be fluid, right? This is what I kept telling you. There always has to be something just a little bit going on, and there's right now there's too much of a pause. I don't like, not to get too technical, but we wanted to have them have like a transparent white background where the name pops up. And for some reason, when you import them into Premiere, the white turns gray and it doesn't look good. So that's why we have to go with solid white for now. I don't know if I can export them as something else, if it will change that, but
I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it.
no, I don't really either. I just don't know why it's not white and it's gray. Must have something to do with the GoPro codec that it's using, or the QuickTime GoPro Cinema, whatever it is. But yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, the hard part's basically done.
Yep.
So
Still got to figure something out for this podcast, but
what do you mean?
for editing it, because I don't have a banner or anything. So I might just have to for this one here, we might just have to do something real quick just to get it out.
Yeah, we're gonna use the old banner for this one.
Yeah. And then next week, we'll have more time to have something ready.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the baby steps. There's the little things that need to happen. We still need to figure out if we're doing anything with the front of the desk. I have all the names now for the plaque for everyone who contributed. So thank you so much. I think there's 37 names total.
Cool.
So we got 37 names to put on the plaque, and that's going to go on this desk so we can see it every single time. And yeah, I don't think I have any other updates.
Nope, we're good.
Nothing else. All right. Yeah, thanks guys for listening, watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you enjoyed that World Junior game, regardless of the country that you are in or the teams that or the country that you're cheering for. It was a pretty interesting game, pretty controversial game, I guess, but it was a good game to watch. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed watching this or listening to it. We really appreciate you, and we'll catch you next week in podcast 96. Am I here next week?
Yep.
Am I here next week? Yeah, it's the following one.
Following week after this weekend, we're gonna have an AAC release.
Yeah, so we'll see you next week in podcast number 96. Adios.